the heater.
All right, everybody, let's call the Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 Town Building Committee meeting to order. First on the agenda, PCA 360 updates.
All right, Mr. Chairman, we'll give you a update on the project. We're still in the month of August. We will, at the end of the month, we'll issue a formal report that looks similar to what I have on the screen. And I'll send it to you by email. So I'll cover some of the topics in my presentation. Project schedule, I kept this version of the schedule up because it's what I've been showing you the last few meetings. And so far, everything is moving along just slightly ahead of that original schedule we gave you. Later in the presentation, when we get to the construction manager section, we'll talk a little bit more about the schedule and some potential things that have come up that might impact the schedule that we're tracking. But we'll get to that in a little bit later. But at the moment, the key milestone is structural steel, setting that. Right now, we were anticipating early October. It looks, in our meeting earlier today, I think the date we had was September 9th.
Right.
Yeah, the 9th.
Public safety.
So that's good. So we are, early on the foundations and structure. Things are going well. So that's where I'll leave our schedule update, and we'll get to it more in a little bit. Just a couple of overview photographs to show you some of the progress. These are from today. So this is standing halfway between the apparatus bay to your right and the first floor of the public safety building to the left. Route 114 is at your back, and you're looking straight back into the site. So the walls at the center of the photograph here are the detention booking area of the police end of the public safety building. They're starting to take shape. This would be the garage next to the sally port. And then you can see the walls on the far right of the photo. Those are the garage of the apparatus bay that are starting to take shape. So it'd give you a little sense of where things are. So the foundation's been waterproofed and backfilled. All the interior foundations are complete. Now the mason's on site putting the walls in. So the site is now ready for steel to begin soon, just in a few weeks. Next photo, there's just a closer view of the end of the public safety building that will be the police area. This is the opening of the police garage, and then the sally port right here. So you can start to see it's starting to look like a building, very beginning of it. So the walls are starting to come up. The town hall, per schedule, is lagging behind. That's intentional. Once the structural steel is put up, the two will start to flip-flop, and work on the town hall will start to, go ahead of the public safety. So here we're looking at we're standing at the front of the town hall looking in. You can see the back of the site. The views are going to be spectacular from the parking area, the end of the senior community center. This end have just tremendous views looking into the back. So the view angles that the committee talked about so much in the design, it's coming together now. It's looking really good. So here we're standing in the front right corner of the town hall in this view. And you can see in this area here, they're getting ready to begin the vault foundation for the clerk's office. And then you can see the excavation, the hole here in the middle will be the elevator. So this bump out right here on the far left is the front door of the new town hall. So things are moving along there quite well. We're, say, not quite half on the foundations. They've been forming, and things are moving along at a good pace. So here's our updated time-lapse video from the last one that I showed you last month. So this video gets a little bit longer. There's two different versions on the web that we have. I've been uploading what we call the standard time-lapse. That just sort of stitches together a photo every 10 minutes and runs it at a fast speed. As the project gets longer, I'm going to do a day-by-day time-lapse so that you'll see a little bit faster of a progression and it won't be such a long video. But you're going to start to see, in the back edges, the walls coming up. And you can see, the utilities and the roadway are going in, the underground drainage. You can see the drainage structures, those round cylinders that are moving around. Those are the underground structures. So the piping's getting put in, now the mason's on site, and everything's been backfilled. So there's 2 cameras. At the moment, this view has got more interesting. At some point, I'll upload the other one, because the dirt pile's in the way of the second camera, so you can't really see a whole lot of the town hall.
Nice looking lawn, though.
Yeah, well, so the time-lapse video of the dirt pile, the grass is just growing as the time goes on. It's pretty funny.
It's intentional.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, so we'll get those uploaded as there's more to see. So a quick update on the budget. This is just the high-level view. I'll give you a much more detail in the monthly written report. There haven't been any significant changes. There's one that I'm going to present to you a little later. It has to do with the cost that we had allocated for AV. The budget that we had was $580,000 with some moves that we had made. And the proposal that we have that we're going to be recommending an approval is about 690. So we're going to have about 110,000 that we'll have to move around in the budget, either from soft cost contingency or other places. But we have some areas that we've done better. For example, we just got our final invoice from the hygienist that was monitoring the demolition work on our behalf. We had budgeted about $15,000 that you had approved. It came in at $3,200. So there are places in the budget that I'm finding money that I'll be able to sweep in there and minimize, any of the draw from soft cost contingency. And then other things that we've on the construction side, they continue to buy out scopes of work, and there have been some pretty significant savings. The latest one I saw was over $300,000 for Division 10, but we have some things that we're working with the design team that we might incorporate from base scope. We're going to see if we can incorporate the padlocks, the locks into the lockers themselves. There might be a little extra that we'll add in there. But overall, the buyout has been tremendous. The ones that have been awarded prior to number 7, which is the one I just talked about, to GMP contract, it's about $340,000 that we've realized in savings. So net, we're doing quite well. So that will, we'll talk about that in probably the next meeting. We'll probably use that to cover some of that savings to cover the irrigation that we're going to be doing in the town green.
So we're going to have like a little roll-up, plus minuses kind of thing?
Yep.
Is that what you're going to do?
Yeah, so some of that savings will cover the augmentation of the of town green and doing the irrigation. So it's easy to do things like that once you know that you've bought out the project, where you stand. We've gotten through a lot of the uncertainty with digging the site. We've established grade. We've removed the existing building. So feeling better. There's certainly a lot of the biggest risks in the project are behind us. And then the Eagle, too, was another one that we were really uncertain about, and that worked out to be
Don't jinx us.
pretty good. I don't want to jinx it.
totally just jinx us.
I did do that, didn't I?
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's my fault if something happens, but
We'll keep you.
but so far, so good. We have coexisted well, and whenever the Eagles return, the project will be in full swing. So it's a little different. We'll have been there first, and they'll be coming after, so shouldn't be so bad. All right, that's that. So we are starting to see construction requisitions monthly, well in excess of $1 million. So our draw on the project is increasing. We're almost at 10% spent to date so far on the project. Project website continues to see quite a bit of activity. We've had 716 views since we last met, so that's pretty good. Our social views, about 150 in the last month as well. So our social media, which is Instagram and Facebook, are also working as well. We issued an updated blog today. We have a blog post to talk about the walls rising out of the project. So that's in there. And we posted all new photos and updated the web link today. So the construction tab stays up to date between a week to 2. I keep it updated.
Great.
At alternate 2, so we had in our GMP contract, this is what you originally agreed to. We had alternates 1, 2A, 2B, and 3. So alternate one, we executed right off the bat at the beginning of the GMP. We moved forward with that. Alternate three, last meeting, you gave us approval to move forward with the
Gazebo.
picnic pavilion.
Picnic pavilion, that's what we're calling
Pavilion
it?
versus.
Or
if we have a
pavilion,
gazebo
we'll say
sign.
pavilion.
Ah, I gotcha, okay.
So what we have left is 2A, 2B. These are the permeable parking areas. And in our GMP contract, the way it was structured is that we had till September to execute these or not. Right now, they're holds. They're in our total number for our contract. But if we decide not to move forward with them, we'll take these as credits back to the project. So we have two, one that's near the town hall and the other one near the public safety building. On the overall site plan, here's the public safety building, here's town hall. I've circled in red the two areas that are hatched, that are kind of grayed out. So this is the, what we call the public parking lot associated with the public safety building. And as an extension for overflow, the project designed these. It's basically a stabilized construction surface, or a surface that you can park on that has like a plastic grating, like an egg crate, that you fill with dirt and then you plant grass over it. So it will grow green somewhat. It's never perfect, but you can drive over it. So that was two, there was this one and then the same over at Town Hall. So now up for discussion for this committee is, would you like to do these or not?
I mean, personally, I'd say I'd rather hold on to the money as a credit, just in case of someone unforeseen. I mean, it's what, 300 grand? 350? I mean, I think it might make sense just to hold on to the money in case. I mean, there's nothing that says you can't put these in. There's nothing holding us from putting these in at any point.
So is there a drop dead date that you need an answer by?
They'll hold the pricing at the values that we showed till the end, the end of this month. And so after that, if we decide to add it at the end of the project by change order, they'll reprice it. And, odds are the price will go up.
This is the end of this month.
Yes.
Well, this
why we're
meeting
talking
is
about it
the
tonight.
end of the month. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for a point of clarity, the 2A and 2B are within the current GMP.
Yep, understood.
The delta would be the net increase to the project at a later date if you choose to accept it.
Yep. Understood.
How many spots do we have without it? How much public parking do we have without those two options? With like all latest redesigns and things like that?
I mean, I think we're
Ballpark.
good. We're good for the building. This was more for like events. So
I
if we
know.
were having like a town, like something at the town hall. Yeah,
But there was already conversations last week,
Yeah.
last month about,
I'm gonna try and
having
zoom in. They
overflow
do have the
parking for the
counts on them.
schools
How do I
there
zoom in?
and queuing and things
Magnify.
there in various places. So
we were talking about that just in the front, though, right? I mean, because you're not planning to use that for the overflow, right? Because there's a change.
but
in
we
the
just
back.
don't have like parking along the drive.
So what I would offer is, in terms of my thoughts on this, it's not necessarily something that you need to do right now. You're in a position right now where you're trying to think out how, hypothetical scenarios about what your needs might be. And I think to a large extent, that's reflective of the entirety of this project. Like, we don't have a crystal ball, we're making our best guess. For this particular item, though, this is something that definitively you can put aside, and if you, a year or two later say, hey, we really should have put that in, you can certainly put it in. There's no impact to the project.
Select board can, you can, we're not.
Understood, but I mean the town, the people, right? The people of Middleton, if they determine there's a need.
You can also still use this, though, right? This area, right? I mean, so say you still use the area, if it's only being used like once or twice a year, it probably isn't that critical, right?
Fine. I'm just trying to understand what
No,
we
I'm just,
haven't
that's
used
where
the parking.
I'm sitting on it right now,
Or
personally.
we
but-
come to a happy medium and we do one of the two?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
then see how it goes, if we use that, and then
I-
determine if we need the second.
I think personally, I'd just rather, this is my take, I'd rather have the extra dough in the budget, just in case something happens that we're not thinking of. I mean, we are pretty early here, we're just getting foundations in, so there's plenty of things that could derail us here. Having a couple extra dollars in the coffer, I think, is probably prudent.
I'm just trying to understand the demand, I haven't made a decision. so.
Yeah, okay.
Any preferences, fire and police?
I mean, I guess I just have a concern about the training room, and if we were to use that for outside resources, are we gonna have enough parking to accommodate the guests or
And that's
participants
been
in
a
that
constant
training?
question since we started.
Yep.
Yeah, we've made that observation before, so I agree.
And the current location of the permeable parking area, public safety is, that takes into account the generator and all the other things that have been
Yep.
shuffled around, so.
Yeah, I mean, this plan isn't updated with the generator, but the counts from the public, on public safety is 46. The town hall has 135 public spaces, so, combined, you're 181 spaces available to the public.
Seems like a ton of spaces compared to what we have today, right? I mean, I know we have different buildings and different locations and stuff, but, I mean, you still can use it as overflow. We just don't have to spend 300 grand on it, you know?
I'm just gonna throw my opinion. I think we should do one of the two, the one behind public safety, and that's just my opinion.
So other things we talked about was having actual town events and doing things at the town common. We don't need permeable parking for that. We're happy to just go park on the lawn when we run out of space.
Kind of
Right.
thinking that's what you'd do, right? And if it's a problem, then revisit it, right? I mean, that's kind of where I'm thinking, worst case scenario. Because, I mean, this isn't going to be, this is going to be for events in all likelihood. This wouldn't be for the day-to-day, right? I mean, I'm not expecting you
No.
folks parking on the grass for training events. I mean, imagine they'd use one of the 100 and something spaces behind the town hall, I'd imagine.
Yeah, there is a path that goes along the entrance drive, or along the edge of the community center that connects to the rear lot.
Yep.
Jackie, if we wanted to do like a paving surface behind public safety instead of the permeable, like in the future, a year, 2 years from now, 3 years or whatever, do asphalt, is this something DPW could handle themselves, or would we have to outsource that?
They'd outsource
I,
that.
I wouldn't do that in-house.
Very good.
They
Okay.
have a contractor that
Gotcha.
we don't do any paving in-house.
But that contractor, in all likelihood, you'd bid that as a separate,
Yep.
project, yeah.
So an option that we could do here to add, it would add, I think, 5 spots. If we don't do this here, then we don't need to leave this reserved for future. We could complete the parking, in this area here and add another, 5 spots.
And then if they needed to use it, they'd just cord off those spaces and let people go in there. So
Yeah,
you
the
pick
only
up,
reason
you
it
pick
was-
up another 5 spaces.
I mean, that would work here.
Are there curbs there?
Yeah, right now there are, so we would just, instead of having the curbs sort of come out and over, we'd go in and back. So
We didn't have canopies originally for that back of that lot, right?
No. Yeah, the canopy is only right here off the public
Gotcha.
safety.
Yeah. All right.
But that would give you a few more parking spots along here.
Yep.
And then we did add 4 along this edge here. You probably could get another 1 or 2 along in this space here if you had to. Not this layout, we have
the updated layout.
the Mel generator layout. We moved the dumpster out of there. I mean, you probably could fit a couple more. We only added 4 to balance the parking,
Yeah.
so it was the same as what you had before, but we might consider.
So if we're picking up 10 spaces, does that sound like a good compromise, folks? Or 9? To me, that sounds good, right?
It
We good
probably
with that?
would be 7, I think, that
7?
you could pick up on public safety. So we go from 46 to,
But then what about, you said that you could add, what, 2 or 3 more, and then you had...
I think,
Did you have 5?
maybe 2 max.
Okay, okay.
We already put 4,
Saying
maybe
you
2
get the 5
more,
in the back, yeah.
and then another 5 back here.
And if it doesn't work, then we look at doing that as a future project, I guess. I mean, they can still drive back there and you can cord it off so people can go park on it. I mean, it's not like they can't use it. It's cleared area.
The grade it's at, can it be used to park on now, or is part of that cost actually leveling the area?
Yeah, the cost is still,
Yeah, I think the grade is generally
flat,
parkable.
right?
It's not like it's at like a 15% grade or anything.
this one's not as easily done. This one is natural.
Yeah, that one's natural.
That's sort of naturally easy to park. This one, because of the tree stands and how the trees are, creating this, you are, this does create some challenges with the tree. You're in the zone of the tree, in the drip line,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
so by carving this out, you are, potentially impacting these trees, which we all have said are critical to keep. So this lot is kind of a shoehorn in. It's not great. The one that does fit more naturally is this one here.
Right. I mean, we don't even know if we need 28 spaces there, though, right? So, what's the size of the training room compared to the number of public spaces that we have there?
75.
Yeah, I think it's,
So 75,
yeah.
and you have 50-something?
Right, but I didn't give you the count of the parking back here. I would imagine if there's a full event, would you have some of your own staff participating?
There's some of our own, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it sounds to me like you have enough for the unit, then, I mean, for the building, right? If we have enough spaces for the number of seats that are in the training room, wouldn't that cover it, or is there something else I'm missing?
But at least from the police perspective, if we bring an outside agency in to do training, they'll bring in their own people, so you would potentially fill 80% of the seats with outside people. So what's the training room?
75.
75, so if you bring in even 50 people.
Yeah. We're pretty close.
Yeah.
That one, right? It's the last two people that show up late, they got a little bit of a walk, it sounds like.
They park on the grass.
Oh, park on the grass.
But if we had 5 and maybe 2, so then we would be over the 50.
Yeah.
And then there's another 48 spots in the back
Yep.
here in the secure area.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, to me, it seems like it's good, I
So,
would think.
right, but we don't comply with any formulas that we require the private businesses in town to do, correct?
No, well, that, I wouldn't use our part. As a member of the ZBA, I can tell you, let's not use that as a guide, because it's written pretty poorly on how they do their numbers, but, I mean, I would say if you have a person for every seat, you have a space for every seat, that's pretty solid, no? I mean, I think that's more than what most do.
Right, and that's the unfortunate thing, because you go to Andover, they build a beautiful public safety building, and you're parking illegally, you're parking in the library, you're parking on the street. If the capacity is 75, and we have 50 spaces, and probably 10 spaces would be taken up on a daily basis anyway, so that takes you down to 40.
Would they be, though? I think you're inside.
There's some police parking outside, and there's EV accessible parking outside.
Yeah, and you get the accessible too, right? Yeah.
I think for me personally, and obviously I don't have a vote here, but just my thoughts, that's an awfully large expense for a scenario that's gonna happen maybe once or twice a year. And just to echo the point I was touching on earlier, if we get in there and we find like, hey, this isn't working, it's not the end of the world to put together a bid package and put this thing out as a separate project and put it on the capital plan. If the data's there to support it, it's something that can definitely be built later, but $300,000 is not a small amount of money. And I would hate to spend a dime on this on something for the sake of doing it now to say we did it and then find we never use it and it just sits there. That wouldn't sit right with me personally. Wow, quiet.
So where are we landing, folks? What are we thinking? Someone want to make a motion? Are we in, we out?
I'm happy to
I mean, it doesn't mean they go away for sure, so, I mean, we can always revisit this down the road, too. If everything comes in.
table it.
What's that?
I'm happy to table it.
Want to table it? Motion to table it? Is that what I'm hearing?
So be it. Yes.
Do I have a second, folks?
I'll second that.
Okey dokes. Everybody tabling? Aye, aye?
Aye.
All right. All right. Tabled. We'll come back to it. End of the project. You can always.
So next item's on the agenda, updates on Mass DOT. We are expecting 75% review comments tomorrow. That's what their system says. So, yeah, thank you. So tomorrow, we'll follow up with our traffic consultant if we don't see comments, to ask them to jingle them once more.
Yep.
So we're still waiting on our curb cut permit. Oh, did I skip over? I must have it in the slide deck out of order then. I do. Yeah, I have it next.
Okay, all right.
And then alerting vendor, Allcom, who we've been working with, it's just far too early for them to be involved in the project, so they're not being responsive. But once we start to see a frame go up, I think we'll have better luck with them. So nothing to report to this group. Sorry for being out of order. The communication tower update, we received structural stamped drawings yesterday for the tower and for the foundation. They're tentatively planning on being on site the end of September to get the foundation in for the new tower. So at the moment, we have the design team and the construction management team reviewing. I've already received comments from Steve Taylor, and then we'll submit this formally to the building department for a building permit.
Just out of curiosity, what's the total height on that?
90 feet is the, I think,
It's up there.
80, sorry. 80 to the top, plus the antennas go above that, thank you. Yeah. 80 feet. So it's a triangle-shaped tower. This is the shape of the tower in plan view. The outline is the foundation. It's just a large mass of concrete, about 5 feet deep. I think it's 14 by 14 or 15. 15 pad width, 15. I can't see it.
It's between 15 and 20 feet wide.
Yeah. So it's not, it's a rectangle, it's not a square. Anyhow, that's the update. So moving along. Then, EV charging update. So we are just about ready to get formal invoices so we can process them for payment, order the stations, and we expect to receive them this fall. We'll have to store them, and then they're tentatively planned to be installed middle of next summer.
And do we include that in the GMP?
No, because
didn't,
we
'cause we expected
expected
to
that
get
we'd
it.
be getting a grant, which we did. So the state grant covers 100% of the cost of these chargers. It's just under 100,000 that we'll be getting for these. So we did not include that in the GMP purposely. So the scope for the electrician is to receive from owner the equipment and to install and set it up and have it all fully wired. So, good there. Okay. Security vendor, this covers the closed-circuit TV on the project, intrusion. So this, we presented to you last meeting, the bids that were unleveled. So this is this line here. We had Signet was the apparent low at 545,000, Convergent 610, Hawkers at 801, and then Galaxy 802. After an extensive amount of work from Danvers IT and the IT folks, they did an incredible job to help us through this. They were able to level the bids to make sure that we were getting the equipment that would dovetail with what they already have. There's a lot of infrastructure already in place, and also they wanted to make sure that the ongoing cost, looking forward 10 years down the line, were going to be the best for the town. So after doing that, Ockers is now the lowest bidder, which we're very happy about. We've worked with Ockers in the past. They've been a tremendous vendor to work with, very easy, reliable. Their service department is excellent. They're very responsive. So all good things to say. All of the reviews that we got from people that have worked with them had high praises. Signet received mediocre. I've used them in the past, and some of the clients that I've had did not like the ongoing service. It was very expensive to work with Signet, so they usually come in with a very low price and then get you on a service contract.
Cool.
So that came out in the leveling, and so I feel like where we arrived at is correct.
And so this is the 110 you're saying is about 110 higher than what we had
We're
budgeted
about
for?
110 higher than what we allotted, but this is covering 10 years of operating expenses.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's
so
crazy.
It's,
Saving it on the operating budget side for sure.
yeah.
So what had to be added in that wasn't covered originally?
I guess is the operating.
Alex from my office is the one that spent the lion's share of the time. I stayed out of it, but Jackie, I think you might be able to answer that question, right?
I mean, from a very high level,
Yeah.
because I love answering detailed questions about IT, and any of the staff will agree with that. So when our IT folks looked at Signet versus Ockers, every time they needed to come out to fix something, to replace something for any kind of maintenance, there was these larger charges. So basically, anytime, like, so say the captain is at the police department and needs a video camera replaced or something in the system needs to be updated, there's paying for the equipment, but also paying that they have to come out and do it. And over incrementally for just basic wear and tear, it was going to be a significantly higher operating expense. For the storage, so all of the CCTVs have 30-day retention on the film. So Ockers was significantly better pricing for the 30 days of storage for the video.
Ockers had included 60 days.
Yeah, thank you.
In their original quote, and when we leveled them, we said everybody at 30, and that was a big number. That was almost $100,000 to lower their number. The other thing, too, is Signet was proposing a manufacturer that was not in our request for proposal. They were submitting a substitution. And what we found is the substitution was not an equal. Ockers was providing exactly what we were looking for. It was the most modern of the equipment from this particular manufacturer. The name's escaping me. Convergent had the right manufacturer, but was using older equipment.
And so, Nick, just to conclude, this is going to be a significantly lesser impact, because one of the things that Sarah Wood has started to look at is the operating costs and the ongoing costs as we start to build future budgets. So we're seeing a slightly higher number here, but it's for 10 years of service, and you'll see the savings on the operating budget side when we go to build our municipal operating
But
budget.
based on my original question, what is reflected with the additional $110,000? What caused the additional
It's
cost?
10 years of service.
All right, so
So
service is
we're-
Like,
included in
we're
the-
not going to
Service
pay
under the
anything
capital.
for another 10 years on this.
Very good, okay, I'm good.
Okay, so the motion that we would like is to award to Ockers at $692,677.
Any questions, folks? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. We do an alerting vendor next, is that where we're at? Is that, or did we already do that?
We did that already, so
Oh, did
we're
we?
on to
Sorry.
proposed change orders, construction items.
Yep.
We do not have a change order yet for you to review. We don't have any changes that have occurred. Steve's going to get to that in just a moment, but we do have two potential change orders that are in review right now. They're with the design team reviewing. One is the electrical related changes from the MELD peak load shaving generator. As presented, the credit for the deduct is $201,152. I reported to you last month that it was going to be north of 100,000, so it's 200,000.
200,000, I like 200,000.
The credit.
Okay.
But that is in review right now with the design team. This is a timely thing. It does affect our electrical switchgear. The switchgear has between a 50 and a 60-week lead time. We won't know until the order's placed. So it's important that we get this executed quickly. But at the moment, we're just asking the design team to vet it. It's a pretty substantial change, so it needs the attention. So that's what's happening.
Okay.
But when the original design equipment was submitted on, we were about to sign off on it. That's when this change happened. So we stopped the ordering process for the equipment and waited for redesign, submission, pricing, review. So we're behind right now. So it has the potential to impact the overall project schedule. It could delay the end of the project. Worst case scenario, by months.
Okay.
We're working together with the team on all sides, design and construction, to try and mitigate this. Obviously, our goal is to try and have no delay.
Okay.
So we won't know until the order is placed, till we really will have a good handle on what the actual lead time is going to be.
Okay.
So
Can we
we'll-
keep that just as like monthly update then? Just
We will.
obviously if it's
We absolutely will.
time delay potential.
So what we did today, Steve and I talked about, while we're waiting on review comments to the change proposal, Steve reached out to Wayne Griffin Electric to ask them to proceed with preparing the submittals in anticipation of an approval. So rather than running everything, in sequence, we're trying to do parallel tracks to try and save on time.
Okay.
So any opportunity we have to save, we will.
Are there gonna be any other I know early on, we were talking about whether it was rooftop HVAC units or different, are there any other equipment or anything else we should keep on our radar that it might be potentially, schedule impacting?
Do you want me to address that?
Yeah, sure, please.
There's various equipment, things like air handlers that are inside the town hall that we're monitoring that my team is coming up with plans with in order to fly them in before the trusses are complete, so that we're weather tight substantially, can allow things to progress on that front. Those have, forgive me, 16 to 20 week lead times that are out there and being in fabrication. Rooftop units, which are on the public safety, which are outside the building, a less of concern, but still a long lead time. They're 12 to 16 weeks. There are various components of that, and the short answer is we know them, we have our pulse on them to make sure that we are managing them correctly to keep the sequence of work going.
So the other, like there was, at one point, it was Roxel, you know, the
Yeah, it's
mineral,
very true.
the mineral wolf installation.
Yeah, so mineral wool insulation, like the fire rating insulation, it's also used in exterior cavity walls. Something happened industry-wide where it went from 4 to 8 weeks to 6 to 9 months. And because of the material demand and shortages, manufacturers were kind of like spreading the wealth, if you will. So arbitrarily, you get 2,000 square feet, you get 2,000 square feet. It didn't matter if your job needed 12,000 square feet. They were managing supply chain that way. So those are all submitted. Materials are on order, in queue, things like that. So we believe we are out ahead of that one. But rest assured,
You're gonna have to store it on site, so you're gonna have
Yeah.
to get Connex boxes. They're gonna get the material earlier than they needed it, but they need to do that to make sure that it isn't a schedule impact.
Based on code, is there an option to switch from mineral back to rigid, or is that not even an option?
I wouldn't.
Very good.
Can't look up.
Okay,
We-
sorry I asked the question, but thank you for laughing, Brian.
Sorry, it was,
No,
it's
we did
legit.
look at it, but
No, it
it's
is
not.
legit. We talked about it. It was proposed by the Mason as an option, and Chris, I know that you commented in our job meeting about it, that the preference is to stick with the design for various reasons. Part of it had to do with the UL assembly for the wall.
Well, yeah, there wasn't a fire rating issue because of the constructible, the category of construction, but we were getting a better wall assembly with our R-value with the Roxol,
Gotcha.
and I think it's a better product right now.
Yep. But that would have been the Plan B. So that was discussed in our job meeting. So thank you, Nick. That's a good call. Yep.
So you didn't get left out.
And then the other proposed change order that we're reviewing right now is for the septic system impacts. We had a $40,000 allowance in the GMP contract for anticipating the cost increase. Came in at $105,000. This is being reviewed by the civil engineering team now. I know that we've received some comments, so it's not finalized yet, but it is going to be more than what we had anticipated. But the good news is, Steve and I talked earlier today, we had some money in the GMP budget for unforeseen demo in the clubhouse, hazardous materials. We had $65,000 in the GMP that we're not using, so we'll be able to take the 40 plus the 65, put them together. So we'll be able to cover this in GMP and not be a change to the owner. Right. So that's where we're at on proposed change orders. No change order to present to you tonight. And then the last item I have. So we have PCA 360. Back in June, we presented a ASR, additional service request. We gave it to Justin, but because there was a lot going on at the time, that we had a lot before this committee, it just wasn't the right time to bring it up to you. And then last meeting, we also had a pretty heavy agenda, so we held off on bringing this to you. But this is for 2 additional months of time. Our OPM contract is based on a time duration. It's not on a task-driven, contract. However, the 2 extra months that occurred during the design phase We were originally going to go out to bid in December. The project didn't go out to bid till February or, the end of January. So it added 2 months of duration to our time. But in that time, we were involved in the Eagle permitting support. We had performed 2 different bid processes for this security, for the AV. I have security twice, and the trying to think, there was 3 vendors that we did. So originally, what we had planned was we were going to use state purchasing contracts. And then Valley Communications, after we went through that process, said, well, we lost our certification. They were the town's vendor. So we canceled that process, and we went and we created an RFP, and we went out and hard bid the scope for AV, so that Valley could participate in the process. So we administered 2 different bid processes to bring the consultant on, and in the end, we were able to get Valley, was the low bidder. So town got the vendor that they wanted. Similar thing happened with the security. We were going to go to Convergent, do a state purchasing contract, but the way the state purchasing contract was written, if the labor exceeded $50,000, you had to solicit 3 bids. And at that point, we could have gone to 3 different vendors in the state purchasing contract and got 3 from them.
Right.
We decided to write an RFP and go out
So it's
to a
quality-based as
full bid
opposed to just
get more
price-based.
competition.
Yep.
Because by the time we were going to go through all that effort, we felt we could get better pricing and more competition going in casting a wider net. So we did that too. So all of these efforts yielded better pricing and the vendors that you wanted. We took on the scope of traffic engineering coordination. Originally, that was in the architect's scope. We took that out of their scope, and we've been managing them. And then we added the MELD peak load shaving generator to the project. That's resulted in quite a bit of effort too. And then we also took on the EV charger grant. We took care of doing all that. And a similar thing, we had to go out to bid to get competition for the charging stations. We went out and looked at 4 different companies, presented those to you, gave you the different options, and then made the award. So in the end, it resulted in $100,000 to the project. So it was additional effort on our part. And then during the design phase, we did do 3 additional design reviews as we were supporting the team getting up to bid. And then we've been also doing quite a bit of writing of contracts while we worked with the town's lawyer, to go through that. There was a lot of effort that was done there that we normally just say, here we go, we have a proposal, town, lawyer, I can't think of what's
Legal counsel.
That name was escaping to town council. We would go to the town council, they would just kick back a contract, but in this case, we wrote all the vendor contracts and sent it to them for review.
So, bottom line, if for additional services performed, you need another $58,000.
Yeah, so the way it works, it's 2 months at our monthly rate during the design phase.
Gotcha.
Yep, so 29,260 is in our contract, that's the 2 months, for each month.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just speak a little bit to the delay in getting this to the committee that Brian referenced, because we have been talking about this pretty extensively over the past 2 months. For my office, the biggest concern we had when we first received the request was wanting to be able to take the time to ensure that there wasn't scope overlap between the items that they listed and the items that they were already on the list to do. Bless you. And so I can tell you definitively that we've scrutinized this request, and the folks at PCA 360 were good sports about it. And ultimately, we're in agreement with what they've listed here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me based on everything we've been talking about, so.
Or
There's
for a
nothing
motion
here
to
seems to,
recommend.
nothing jumps out at me, so.
We're looking for a motion to recommend the select board accept this amendment.
Contract amendment, yeah, exactly.
And we want dollar amounts too, 58,520.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah, so I move that the building committee recommended the select board that they accept the additional service request 2, the amount of $58,520 for PCA 360 additional services.
Can I get a second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous.
Okay, great.
I think that covers you guys, right?
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Context.
Okay. So, let's see. A little backtracking on what Brian presented. So all demolition and abatement is finished on site, which was exciting. That's since the last time we met. As Brian said, foundations are basically complete at the public safety building, and they've been backfilled and compacted. Masonry bearing walls are going up, so it's starting to take shape. Foundations are being poured and formed at the Town Hall Community Center building. Stormwater manholes are being installed throughout the site, and the stormwater basin in the rear of the site, so the west side of Town Hall, is formed. We've had our consultant team of McPhail on site observing backfill and compaction activities. Our structural engineer's been on site. Thornton Thomasty came at the beginning of the month to observe the footings and foundations at Public Safety Building. To date, we've received 361 product submittals. There's 95 open submittals, and only 5 of those are on the hot list, which we review weekly with the contractor,
Okay.
along with the RFIs.
So it sounds like the electric's one of those hot list items, I'm guessing? I hope so.
When we submit it.
When you submit it? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, we expect it back from Griffin middle of next week with the holiday.
All right.
Yes. We've received 106 RFIs, and there's only 11 open, 5 are hot. And then coming up activities are, we've got some masonry mock-up panels that are being prepared for review, which will come up later in terms of the next meeting request. And we've also been participating with WT Rich in their BIM coordination meetings with all the subcontractors for coordination. And we are targeting end of the year for interior finishes selection.
Cool.
Just soon, you're going to be starting the FF&E furniture.
Yes,
Yes.
so we actually have started FF&E in-house. FF&E is fixtures, furniture, and equipment. So it's all of the stuff that's not nailed down within the Town Hall and Public Safety Building. We're ready. I know, I heard Jackie going away again.
I'll be back next week.
Okay.
No,
All right, that's fine.
Just a
That's
long
fine.
weekend.
Okay.
I'll clear my PTO with you next time.
Okay.
No, I didn't mean it to be sarcastic.
We're trying to keep this one,
I'll let you know when
Jackie,
I
we're
do
trying to
it.
keep this light.
Sorry.
We're at the point where we can schedule a meeting with Jackie. I would put together a complete spreadsheet of all the furnishings and equipment for both buildings. We vetted it against some of the notes we took during the programming, and actually went down and itemized according to how many file drawers per office. So
Super.
the thought is to meet with you first, Jackie, go through it all.
Both of us.
Okay, great. And we can go through it all, come up with a final list. We've already started selecting some interior finishes and materials. We have material samples from WT Rich, and we have some direction for vendors for furniture that we can go to and get some quotes and go visit some showrooms. So that's all scheduled to start in September. And it will not be that long of a process. The longest part of it will be really obtaining the quotes from the furniture vendors and reviewing those. That's where we are.
Jackie, is the intention for when equipment's going to be assessed for the kitchen and stuff, that Joe's going to be involved with that?
So I think the appliances are not a part of this?
No,
Those have been
this
collected
is everything that's
separately?
not nailed down,
So
so.
like oven, stove, stuff like refrigerators?
Yeah, that's all been vetted already, and we had one of the consultants was a commercial kitchen consultant.
Okay.
And they specified all of the equipment for the, for
Small
the,
wares.
yeah, council
I think we're
basic
talking like
kitchen.
desks and chairs and like
Exactly.
bookcases and filing cabinets.
Golden toilets.
No.
Working ones.
Lots.
That's it.
So the appliances actually, Julian was part of that process.
Okay.
The kitchen, so we're far ahead on that.
And then I have up on the screen,
Oh, yes.
and you want to talk about
Lighting.
color selections too at some point, right?
Maybe option 5.
Yes. So, one of the items that was pulled out of the base scope of work was the lighting of the pathway through the town common. So we actually got a proposal approved a number of months ago by the committee to go back and install electrical line to follow the path of the town common. And at that point, decision was made not to include the lighting, but to put a work box next to each future light. There is a design for bollards, lit bollards going down that path.
Yeah.
Since that conversation occurred, the discussion on the design team was, well, what if we went to a slightly taller fixture that would illuminate the path maybe a little bit more, but allow us to cut down on the quantity of fixtures. And so I had our engineers pick out fixtures that would complement the lighting in the new parking lots. The fixture on the left is most similar. It's in the same family of lighting, but the parking lot's a little more commercial looking than some of the other fixtures you see on the screen. The other three are two in the middle are more traditional, and the last one is still contemporary, but more of a vertical beam of light that illuminates. All of these are compliant with the photometric plan that was produced by our engineers, so we're not going to be spilling light outside of our property. It's strictly lighting the pathway from the Town Hall Public Safety Building down to the gazebo.
So the heights of these fixtures are maximum like 3 to 4 feet max, something like that?
probably more than that,
I
right?
think they're more like
8 feet.
like 8 to 10
Oh,
feet.
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, putting my ZBA hat on, I mean, we're pretty adamant about what we typically see for the lighting, and we try to kind of mimic what's downtown. I mean, I think we want to kind of carry that look down. I mean, I know, Justin, we've talked about that before on other stuff, but, we just had a 40B come through. We were pretty adamant about what those fixtures ended up looking like. So I think we'd want to mimic that same style. I'm sure we can get the plans. Somebody can get the plans to you what that style was, and maybe
That'd
find
be
out
great.
if it. I mean, I think something in the family, not necessarily the exact same one.
Okay.
Just like an older municipal style
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
An acorn type light, is it?
Oh, it's not even acorn. I think it's it's four-sided. Is it acorn? I don't even know.
Well, they
Like a
have like
gas
the four,
lamp
like the
type?
boxed.
It's it's not the acorn. It's the
No.
It's a
four-sided.
little more classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can get you something, Chris.
Great. So the goal here is if we can approve a fixture, we can then get it priced, and we would forego installing the work boxes. We just
Just go
go
with
straight
lights.
to the fixture, and there'd be a savings there.
All right. Yeah, I think that makes sense. You guys all like that? I mean, now that we have some money to play with, I think it makes sense.
Tell us more about option 4.
The Darth Vader?
I really don't like it, but I'm just wondering what.
I already don't like it.
I believe the light is in the top, shines from the source here down. So that's why these are not illuminated panels.
it's like.
It's the light source is in the top and it shines down.
Oh, I see. So it's like open. It's almost like four little
Yeah.
risers or whatever.
And number 3 is not a lamp, right? It's a bug killer?
So that's why I think why we're going to option 5. I think that's where we're at. Yeah, right. Guys,
eliminate
I'm
EEE.
assuming no one loves these, right? Is everybody cool with kind of mimicking downtown? I mean, that's what the
I
ZBA
like
does.
2.
I don't mind too.
Yeah.
I think I want to see like the,
I say we table until we see what,
Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
compare
it
it
looks
with
like-
the.
yeah.
Make
Everybody else do it, we should do it ourselves.
I would assume, right? I think
Well,
that
I
makes
would hope
sense.
so.
Yeah, right.
All right.
So, Chief, you're gonna be on our interior colors committee, doing the fabrics?
He definitely is. He's the
I
guy.
like black.
That's good.
I am so
Julian, what do you
bored.
think, Black?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we table this until we see the other potential option.
Second? Somebody?
second.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Everybody's on board. Let's see some other options, folks. Thank you. All right, Steve, I think you're up.
A lot of people have already stole all my thunder. So I'll try to
We see, we
it
keep
short
doing
and
that, I think. We gotta
Do you want to go
coordinate
first
these
next
things.
month?
Yeah, that's what we should
sweet. Fine
do.
with going at the end.
Rotate.
So as Brian alluded to earlier, we're happy with where we are with the schedule right now, but cautiously optimistic based on those concerns we expressed earlier. From the site perspective, things are progressing nicely. Systematically, we are showing the town hall after the public safety building. From a conceptual standpoint, because the longest path is through the public safety, the town hall is end up going to lap the public safety, but our message to the subcontractors and communication-wise is longest path, public safety, keep driving that home. So here's where we are today. Feeling good right now. Our goals are wrap up as much as we can from the site before winter hits, which is plus or minus 11/1. That's kind of our benchmark date, and then, the real goal is to try to get slabs in, especially elevated slabs in, before the 11/1 mark. You can pour after 11/1, gets a little more tricky, so we're looking to be in that better position before 11/1.
Okay.
Andrew went through kind of the progress on site. I mimicked that, and then looking forward, steel starting, huge milestone, both buildings. Again, pressing forward on the public safety with detailing, so we can get to those slab pours, and then, a couple months later, looking at those roof trusses starting to fly, and the structural insulated panels going on top to make us tight and insulated on that roof, which is a huge bit of milestone for us. We're always looking for envelope tight, get things tight, people start going on the inside.
Cool.
And then, if everything goes well, also binder, get probably 75% of the binder is our goal for this year before 11/1, have that site in good shape. So, because that's really one of our challenge, large site, really only have 2 small seasons to work with since we're finishing in, kind of call it, finishing January 30th. Like, you don't have that second window to deal with. We really need to be finished in October of '25 on site landscape perspective to be ready for the January. Questions on schedule before we move on? Next slide, please. So just high level, generally we give updates on contingency and allowance statuses just from the budget. These are funds that are already within the GMP, not any overages or anything like that. So original starting status of CM contingency was 1.1 million, round numbers. Buyout savings through RTA 6 was 493,000, putting back into the contingency. So again, round numbers. We've used 59,000 of our previously authorized usage against that CM contingency. Current balance remaining 1,594,000 round numbers in the CM contingency. So
Great.
we're comfortable with that. It's healthy, especially given this part of the project. Lot of earthwork uncovered right now, so we're comfortable, and we'll stay on that optimistic side of that spectrum for now. No draws to be talked about tonight, as Brian alluded to earlier. There's possible draws to be talked about that him and I will go through to get you that best value that we said we would get you at the beginning of our interview. Rolling over to the CM allowance side, again, these are allowances already within the GMP, things like temporary electric, winter conditions, and things like that. No usages to talk about tonight. Current remaining balances of the previous allowance draws, 2,330,000 round numbers. Again, feeling comfortable with that, feeling confident in that, given the point in the project right now, and we'll continue to have discussions about how to apply that to your best use.
Cool.
Any questions before we move on?
Awesome. Guys, anything?
Generally, this is a section where if we had owner change orders, that we would talk about them, go through them, let you ask any questions you needed of me to be comfortable with the authorizations. We don't have any of those tonight, so just basically a placeholder so you get used to it.
Cool.
All right?
I like it. Just can we make it bigger next time?
I can certainly.
I can't see, I can't read any of that. I know, right? Yeah, we got
So
the Coke
that's
bottles.
all I have for tonight, but I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have outside of, what I threw up on the screen.
No, I think we've covered all of it. All right, guys, anything from you guys?
I'm good.
I'm sure we'll have some as we get in a little bit later. All right, other topics. Topping off ceremony and time capsule I have here is number 5. So topping off, is that the beam? In the signature on the beam? Even though we don't have wood beams, so we
It's more
can't.
of a topping off truss.
Oh, is that what it is? The
We
topping
don't
off
have
truss.
steel at the very top.
Oh,
We
there you
have
go, yeah.
Trusses.
Okay, cool.
But the traditional ceremony is, the highest structural member is put in place.
Yep.
Usually there's a ceremony to signify that, so the public safety, that might make sense.
Okay.
Town hall is a little different of a building. Maybe you want to do a time capsule and bury that into the building somewhere. So in 50 years, you can open it up.
I like the idea of time capsule too. I know a neighbor of mine that might have some interest in it, so. I'm on board with both. I don't see an issue with either one of them. I don't know what goes in a time capsule. I'm sure somebody is researching that as to what we're supposed to put in them and how these things work and what the deal is.
Yeah, I made a list of stuff that could go in, Jackie and I have spoken already, I'm just gonna know how big, and, we're obviously gonna need some money, which we already talked about. And,
Okay.
how big and how long you wanna keep it in it, or where you wanna put it and whatnot, so.
Okay.
Any kind of opportunity to have the schools, like school kids, some little contest or something like that, to kind of figure out something that is inexpensive or something that they can put in that,
Oh, that's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah.
or
I
the
think
library,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
kind of library contest or school contest to.
That's a good idea.
Chief Martinock had asked me a number of times about a time capsule, and with this committee's permission, I'd like to make him the czar of the time capsule for both buildings, if that's agreeable. He seems interested, so
I
would love
see-
the support.
I see no problem with
I
that.
actually found out there's an International Time Capsule Association.
Are you going to be are you going to be
president
a
of that?
paying member into that now? Is that no?
Lower aspirations.
Lower
okay.
aspirations? Still, as long as I didn't even know there was such a thing. So
World-renowned
that's-
expert Tom Martinuck.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, we'll take the
You
resident
could make
expert.
like yourself a whole like niche retirement career of time capsuling.
Time capsuling across the state? That sounds
Take all the old stuff you don't want and say it's perfect stuff for time capsules. Just send it off.
Yeah.
That's it. I like it. All right, yeah, so
Thanks,
we'll
Chief,
talk
though.
about that maybe next meeting about cost, what we're thinking that might be.
I was thinking possible things like, like a town report, some things from the old golf course, possibly.
That's a good idea too, yeah. There's probably a few others, right?
Plenty of golf balls that we found in the construction.
Yeah, right? Yeah, there you go. Golf ball or two, right?
Eagle nest.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Sounds
I mean,
good.
we just,
Looking forward to talking about that.
we talk about it early enough, then it doesn't come as a surprise when we need to actually do something, so there you go.
Timeline-wise, with that said, when would you anticipate that to roughly occur?
Depends on where the time capsule goes.
Kinda
You
need to
put it in
identify
a
a
cornerstone or something,
More so the topping off.
topping off,
That would be
well,
soon, well, not soon, but really doing steel soon, right? Next month, maybe?
the trusses, the public,
trusses?
probably the public
Trusses-
safety.
Trusses are, what, October, November?
Yeah, trusses your, late October, November.
Okay.
Good. So we can get some pumpkin spice lattes.
Oh, yeah.
Go and hang
Good
out there and do all
foliage.
that
It's a
stuff.
very expensive.
Nice foliage, with nice
Refreshment.
picture opportunities. Really good.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a sequencing thing there, so like, if you have something in mind, communicate it to us, I'm sure we can time some stuff up if we need to.
No, I definitely don't have anything to tell one.
A flag facing the right way.
Sounds good.
Well, usually it's like a little tree that gets nailed to the member or something like that,
Is that
right?
what it is, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. That sounds like a great idea. Yeah, unless you guys have some other thoughts on our topping off ceremony.
We had a school that we did, and we had a student group that were involved, and they ended up giving a speech on the history of a topping off ceremony, which I think I could find. It's pretty interesting, it was a short, 3-paragraph speech about the history of it, and the significance. So we could build something like that, maybe involve
I like
a
it.
student from the community that might read that.
Very cool.
I like it.
I got one question to pose. And Brian, I appreciate it earlier when you showed us the time lapse and the update, but what's the current policy right now if we wanted to do a site visit?
Oh, anytime you want to come, Alex is on site full-time. Just stop into the trailer, and he's happy to show you around.
We have to
Just
call
ask-
ahead or anything like that, give you guys the heads up?
All right,
You
Safety
don't want us
guys.
traipsing around on your site.
Your next
obviously.
meeting is on site, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so that might
No,
actually.
you check into the
oh.
trailer, and Alex will escort you, but, if you,
He's got PPE there.
yeah.
I'll bring my own.
Individual walkthroughs are like group events.
I don't
was
think
just
we're looking
Nick
to do
wanted
group
to
events. I
stop in,
think
right?
Nick wanted to go take a peek.
I'm
I wouldn't
fine.
mind peeking.
General
around, but-
practice, please check in with visitors, closed-toed shoes.
No,
Yep,
no,
I'll wear
you
my
know.
construction outfit, yeah.
don't know
And
anybody
then,
that breaks that
before I do
rule.
anything, I'll probably give Tommy a quick call and
Heads
just run
up.
everything by
There you
him.
go.
Got it.
Is that a good segue to talk about the fact that we do need a meeting on site in September for during daylight.
Oh, this
Mr.
is to
Chair,
help with picking out,
color schemes.
color schemes and mock-ups, okay?
So we're looking, based on today's conversation, that September 24th, maybe? With the third or fourth week of September? But I'm looking at context.
How
And
about that 25th?
Let's see what day that-
I just want to check that that's enough time for context and WT to get what you needed.
Steve, will the panels be done by then?
We will get back to you. I penciled that in.
Okay.
We need to check back with our subcontractors based on that conversation at 2:00 today.
Okay.
So that loop hasn't been closed.
Okay. So tentatively the 25th, so we have it.
So would we do that as a regular meeting? How are we gonna do that?
We would post you as a site visit, the way that like a conservation commission goes on a site visit with a
Yeah, but-
posted meeting.
Yeah, but we're not usually allowed to, oh, that's weird, right? Because normally if a Concom goes, they can't make decisions, so we couldn't have a normal meeting.
If you post, you can deliberate. It's only when they go on a site visit and don't post it, open meeting law, they.
Was that how it goes?
And I'd imagine you can use the conference table in the trailer, I would think. At that
Yeah,
point.
we'll plan with you, like if, for example, if I have like a 4-foot by 3-foot piece of precast for you to bless, like I'll probably put that leaning out against something for you to look at. But those logistics will be planned. But yes, if you need to sit at a table for presentation purposes, we can certainly use the setup that we have there.
Or would it just be easier to schedule so that we all can go by like during the day at some point or something? And then, or in a window, just,
If
I
you
mean, if we
want
only
to be
need to go
together,
look
you
at
want the
that.
design team to present the options.
We want them
There's
there, okay.
more
All
than
right.
just a quick look.
Yeah, you may need to vote on some
Okay.
stuff.
Is there a plan to do a physical mock-up of like masonry or something like that we'd see, or?
Masonry panels.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a recommended brick that we'll propose to you, but there are other that we built
So Chris,
too.
you guys, they're doing like 2x2 panels with mortar and brick and a couple different?
No mortar, just dry set.
Gotcha.
And then the mortar will be on the actual mock-up.
Gotcha, all right.
So there'll be a mock-up built, but it's not going to be built for color. It's going to be built for constructability,
Performance.
and how, things go together. So you will see something that's sizable, that looks sort of like the building, but it's not the colors.
But we
You're
will.
highlighting that?
Yes,
Don't panic.
just
Don't
don't
panic.
freak out when you see it, because that's not the final colors.
But the daytime visit.
What if we
will
like 'em
be
a lot?
colored.
Well, then that's okay.
Yeah, that'll be because that's why we want to go midday, is to see the color.
Yeah, so,
The 25th work for the rest of the committee,
I can make it work.
Frank?
I just signed up for something today, but I can change it.
Yeah.
Any particular time you're thinking?
if we did 3 o'clock, the job site's quiet, the contractors are leaving, so it's a good time.
How's
For the
3 p.m.
committee?
work for you guys?
That's tight for me. I get
It's
a,
tight for me.
We could do later.
can we do maybe, is 4 or 4:30 okay?
Four.
Is it gonna still
I
have
don't
lights?
know if I would do
What do we have?
We could do
It's
later.
getting dark.
Yeah, that's what's worrying.
Well,
4, we could do 4.
you wanna say 4? Is that cool?
Right now, sunset's in like 7.
24th or
range.
5th?
25th.
Which is the Wednesday.
I think later than 4:30 you'll get too dark.
Too dark?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes. Yeah. Just put that in the calendar there before we move on.
I'll send out a calendar invite.
Cool.
Very good.
Okey dokies.
Mr. Chair, if it's okay, can we just schedule a couple of other meetings before we move on from scheduling?
Sure, let's do it.
So ideally, we'd like to book with you all through the end of the calendar year, just as we roll into the fall. It gets busy with the holidays and everything. So in October, we could look at the 9th or the 23rd.
I'm good both.
9th would be preferable for me.
9th is preferable? Does that work?
That'll work for me too.
All right, let's do 9th.
What date?
October
Allowed
9.
to change something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's awfully close to the other
Yeah.
meeting, no?
Yeah, it's like
To the-
2 weeks later.
The 25th of September.
Yeah,
Usually it's a month apart.
And are we doing all of our normal business on the 25th or just on-site
We
stuff?
have the conference room table, we can.
But is that conference room table ADA accessible?
No.
Then we shouldn't do the rest of the business there under the open meeting law. We should just do what we have to do, if possible.
We could always come back here afterwards, if that's easier too.
Yeah.
True.
So we're using the same day.
Yeah, if we
But we're not
if we need the
wasting.
time.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To folks? Just plan to do that, so we can
So
get our
then-
business done as well. And then, so we'd be looking at,
Chris, do you envision the color selections are gonna take more than an hour?
No.
All right.
yeah, so that's good.
So then do you want to not use October 9th and jump to the 23rd to give some more distance?
Well, I think Kyle said that wasn't good for him,
Oh,
right?
sorry.
I mean, you can meet without me.
I just didn't hear you say
I'll
it,
be
I'm
on a
sorry.
plane on the 23rd. So
We don't have to do the 23rd.
something else just to be aware of is I know, I see on the 25th that how Manning is, and they're starting to do open houses and things like that for the schools, so I have no idea what's happening.
I was trying to avoid Halloween week in general. It always seems to get busy.
Math is gonna mess you up.
What about the 16th of October?
They did that, math is gonna mess
Are
you up.
you away that day for school?
I'll fight you for
I
it.
don't have to be.
I don't mind. We can meet on the,
I can-
All
we
three,
can
all
on
three
the
of those dates.
23rd, so Frank can be
All
here.
three of those dates
I
work
don't
for
need to
me.
be on the 9th.
I don't need to be here the 23rd.
Flip a coin, boys.
Whatever logistically works better. Doesn't matter to me.
All right, do we think the 23rd makes more sense just because it has, it's spaced out at the right,
Spacing,
at the
yeah.
spacing makes sense? Just to make a decision?
Yeah.
All right. We'll miss you, Kyle.
I will not miss you. I'll be in Europe that day.
Thanks, appreciate that, that's good.
And then November, I was only looking at the 6th or the 13th if we need it, because the end of the month gets busier. But we could do the 6th, the 13th, or the 20th if we needed it. I don't know. if
Thanksgiving's the 28th, right? So we have the week of the 20th available.
Yeah, it's late
too.
this year.
Yeah.
So we could do
Wanna
the,
tentatively keep it as the 13th?
We could do 13th or 20th. I mean, 20th isn't the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
The following week is, so, you know, looking at my,
Spacing it to the 20th, then we're pushing it closer to the other spacings, like a month, I guess. That'll work, yeah. whatever.
yeah, I'm just trying to keep it to the month, right?
Yep.
so
Does
that's
that
the,
work for you guys, the 20th of November?
Yeah.
All right, 20th of November it is.
Say it again, 20th,
20th of November.
20, right?
20, yep.
And then it was October 23rd.
yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then,
December, we're probably gonna need to make that change, because that'd be the 25th, and that's not gonna work for me.
yeah, I was looking at December 11th, because I feel like any later than that is starting to interrupt people if they have travel or plans. I tend not to book into the 20s, but
Is there any type of like shutdown or anything over the holidays? Or a slowdown?
On paper, no. Naturally, with people, personal holidays and things like that, over Christmas time is generally slow. Kind of from that 20th to the January 1st timeframe.
Okay. Are
It's
there-
generally slow. At Thanksgiving time, same thing, that kind of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, slow, very minimum crew size. From our administrative standpoint, you communicate to me what your needs are from a committee standpoint, and we can plan accordingly from rec distributions and things like that.
Are there any end-of-year considerations that we should try to take into account, that you may need a vote on heading into the end of the calendar year?
Like systematically, we try to get into a routine, like when they're available, like when we have the needs to vote on owner change orders each month. So like you're in the process, but there's no financial budget constraints, year-end constraints, fiscal discipline constraints on that end from our project side, from WT Rich's side,
Okay.
relative to you.
Okay.
No, we
Thank
have
you.
nothing year-end for us.
so we could skip December and maybe pick back up on January 8th.
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Does that work for the committee members, January 8th?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you mind just recapping the dates for me?
We got nothing going on in January.
And I'll send calendar invites as I've been doing previously.
All right, last item, meeting notes approval for 7/24. Do we all have a chance to review?
I didn't see any parent changes or anything. You guys all set with emails?
Motion approved.
Do I get a second? Okay, all in favor?
I'll abstain. I wasn't present.
Okay. Did we say December 11th? Is that the one we picked?
We
We
said
skipped
no
December.
Skip December, okay, just want to make sure I didn't miss it, cool.
Give you guys a break, a little gift from us.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
that. That's nice of you.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Motion to adjourn.
Yes, motion to adjourn, did you say?